Hi everyone, and welcome back to my studio and my channel. I'm Angie, a mixed media textile artist, and in today's video I want to show you how I take an ordinary stencil such as this one and convert it into a permanent silkscreen. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you may have realized I really love screen printing. But somehow I collected all of these stencils. Well, it didn't just happen. I actually went out and bought them because there's so many beautiful designs out on the market today, I just couldn't resist it. But I really don't like stenciling. I much prefer screen printing. So I was trying to come up with a way to convert my stencils into a permanent silkscreen. Now in the past, I have taken a stencil and taped it to the back of a wooden silkscreen, and while that works, I wanted a more permanent solution. So after giving it many hours of thought, I finally came up with a way to convert those stencils into a permanent silkscreen, and I could use all those beautiful designs. If that sounds like something you'd like to do, stick with me and I will show you how. Okay, so there are a few items you will be needing to take and convert your stencil into a silkscreen. Of course, you will need a stencil of your choice. You will also need some sheer drapery fabric. Now you can buy sheer draperies at the thrift store, or you can go to the fabric store and buy the fabric. You will need a surface that you can pin into, and I will be using one of my screen printing boards. Now if you'd like to know how to make your own screen printing board, I'll have the link popping up on your screen to the right so you can check that out. You will need a handful of pins and some Gorilla Tape, and one final ingredient, a permanent spray adhesive. Here I use Super 77 by 3M, but you can use any spray adhesive as long as it's permanent and as long as it sprays out into a fine mist and not all globby like silly string. So gather all your supplies together and join me at the overhead camera where I will show you how to take a stencil and convert it into a permanent silkscreen. So the first step to creating your stencil screen, which is what I'm calling this, is to take your sheer drapery fabric and cut it 2 to 3 inches larger than your stencil. And then you want to pin it to your pinnable surface, such as your print board if you have one. If you don't have a pinnable surface, you can tape the fabric down to a hard surface. In that case, I would cut it about 3 to 4 inches larger, just to give yourself some extra room. As you're pinning, you want to give it a slight tug to make sure the fabric is nice and tight. When you're using traditional silk screens, the fabric is stretched very, very tightly on the frame. Now we won't be able to get our fabric on our stencil as tight, but you want to get it as tightly as you possibly can. So go ahead and pin it in all 4 corners, stretching the fabric as tightly as you can stretch it. Now you have a decision to make. You need to take a look at your stencil and decide which side do you want to be up when you're screen printing. If your stencil is symmetrical, this really doesn't matter, but if it's an asymmetrical stencil, take a look at it and decide which side you want to be what's considered the right side. So how do you want the image to print? So take a look at both sides of the stencil and decide which one that you want it to be face up when you're printing, because with this, whatever is face up, that's what you're going to get when you're printing. You don't have to worry about reversing anything. After you've decided which side to be face up, you want to go outside on a non-windy day and take your spray adhesive and apply an even coverage of spray adhesive to the side that you want to be face up. And please do this outside. This is a very fine spray mist and it's very sticky, and if you do it inside your studio, you will have stuff sticking to stuff everywhere. And don't say that I didn't warn you. Once you have a nice even coating of adhesive on your stencil, you want to bring it back in and place the side with the adhesive down onto the sheer fabric. Take and gently pat it down. Now you can remove the pins and turn it over. Once you turn it over, go ahead and give the stencil a good rubbing because you want to make sure that the stencil is adhered to the fabric as well as you can. Now we're going to take and trim away the excess fabric away from the stencil. So just take some scissors and trim right next to the stencil plastic, removing that excess fabric. Once all the fabric is removed, we will take and apply the Gorilla Tape to all four edges of the stencil. So cut or tear your Gorilla Tape to size and then apply it to the side with the sheer fabric, and then take it and turn it over, and then you want to fold it in half and apply it to the other side. The Gorilla Tape serves two purposes. It gives extra stability to your stencil screen, plus it covers up all of those loose fraying edges of the sheer fabric. The edges of the sheer fabric will fray and get little strings all in your way when you're screen printing, so the tape helps prevent that. So go ahead and cover all four edges of the stencil with the Gorilla Tape, trimming off the excess, so that you will have a nice stable stencil screen and you won't have that fabric fraying, getting all into your print when you're screen printing. Once you've taped all four edges, your stencil screen is now practically ready to use. I do like to let the Gorilla Tape cure for at least 24 hours. I find that when I use it before the 24 hours, the tape doesn't hold as well. So I guess it needs a little bit of curing time before you expose it to water when you rinse your screen out. In a future video, I will show you how to use the stencil screen, so be sure and come back for that. So, what did you think of that idea of turning a stencil into a silk screen? I'd love to know your opinion, and if you think this is something that you might use in your work, leave me a comment down below and I'll be sure to reply to you. I know for me, it's really been a great thing because now I can take all of those stencils that I collected and use them as silk screens, which is what I really love doing. Well, that's it for today's video. If you'd like to see more videos of this kind, check out the videos that are popping up on the screen right now. I hope to see you back here again sometime soon, but until then, have a beautiful day.